So before moving on to JavaScript, yesterday one of you asked me like how to set a background image. I don't know who it was. I don't remember who it was, but yeah, one of you asked me how to set a background image for our HTML site. So yeah, this is the HTML site that we have built, and now we'll put a background image for that. I have actually downloaded an image, like a pretty good image, I think. Yeah. So yeah, this is a pattern kind of an image. So how to set a background image? So where should the background image actually be? So we have set the background color for the body tag only. So here only we have to give the background image to. We have a tag, like we have an attribute named background image. And for every image, like when we used image tag, we used to give source and we used to give the path, like the name of the image and all. Here also we have to give that. We have something called URL. And inside the URL, we're supposed to give the path, actually what the image is. Like my image name is ipt.jpg. This is my image, this thing. So what I did is for the background image, I gave a URL and it is like pt.img, the image that I downloaded. And let me refresh. Yeah, it's not coming. I don't know, some path issue. 1 second. Same. Yeah, it came. I think I forgot the semicolon. Yeah. So yeah, so what I did was I used a background image attribute, and then for the inside the URL, I gave the pt.jpg, the name of the pattern that I used, and yeah, I got the background image. It's a pattern. It's actually good to see. So this is how you set the background image. You can give background image for various tags also. Like if you want to give a background image to a particular div tag also, you can use this. Since I want to give the background image to the whole document, I'm using this thing, like background image attribute inside the body tag. Body tag includes the entire thing. So you will get the background image for the entire thing. So yeah, this is how you set the background image. And I'll just comment that out because I don't like actually setting background images. Yeah, we'll go with the background yellow color itself. Yeah. So I don't know who it was. So is it clear for you? I don't remember who it was. So I hope it is clear to you. And now moving on to JavaScript. So what is JavaScript? So JavaScript is actually a language, a programming language. Like I hope you, like every one of you knows some kind of a programming language or has heard about some kind of a programming language. You have Python, C, C++, Java and all. So Java and JavaScript is two entirely different things. They have no connection between each other. Like Java is some other kind of programming language and JavaScript is some other thing. So if you have basic programming language knowledge, JavaScript will be like very easy for you because it is like only the same thing. And now I'll just give an introduction like what all things we have in JavaScript. For that, I'm using an online editor, like some online editor, JavaScript editor. Yeah, so first, like we have variables in every programming language, right? We declare variables in every programming language. So here we use var, var for variable, to declare a variable in JavaScript. Var and the name, I'll give Nandana. Yeah, so here I've declared a variable named var, Nandana, and I can assign anything to Nandana. Nandana can be 1, Nandana can be like some string, it can be anything. So to print out this, like we have print, cout in various languages. Here we have console.log. Console.log. So what is console.log? Console.log is not exactly printing. Like we are building websites, right? So we don't have to print. Like we are dealing with HTML and all. So there is nothing called print in a website. So what is this console? So when you go to the website and right click, and you'll have an inspect here. When you right click in the menu, you'll have something called inspect. So when you inspect, there is something called console. So whatever you do console.log, that'll come here. It won't be there in the website. It'll be there in the console of your website. So this is what is called console. So we generally use console to print out things in JavaScript. Actually, we don't need to print anything using JavaScript, right? We have HTML paragraph tags for that. So yeah, this is like a kind of a way to print in JavaScript. So I'm console.log Nandana. Nandana is the variable name. Let's see. Console.log Nandana gives Nandana because Nandana is a string here. If I change this to Sriraj, it prints that. If I change it to some number, it gives that. I can give anything. Like it can be an integer, it can be float, it can be float means like decimal number, okay? It can be integer, it can be a decimal number, it can be string, or it can be character. You can give actually anything. So this is how you declare variables in JavaScript. And yeah, so the next thing like operators in JavaScript. I'll declare few variables var x is equal to 10, var y is equal to 20. So yeah, as in any programming language, we have different operators here. We have like we'll declare var z, and we can like z is equal to x plus y or z is equal to x minus. We'll just console.log that too. Console.log is kind of printing only, okay? Yeah. So we'll console.log z is 30. 30 is 10 plus 20. And we have x minus y minus 10, x into y, x by y. Yeah, we have like all operators as any programming language, like arithmetic operators, everything can be used here. And yeah, we have like relational operators that is greater than or equal to, like greater than. If x is greater than y, no, 10 is not greater than 20, so it's false. And if x is less than, x is less than 20, yeah, it's true. So we have different kind of operators here in JavaScript. We can use that if in case you have to compare two variables, you have to add two variables, we can use that. So this is found in any programming language, so JavaScript also has that. And now like about the data types, like we can store integer, we can store float, that is we can store decimal, we can store character, we can store string, and we can also have this boolean, like true or false also. Like it is called boolean, okay? Like a true or false, boolean values. So we can have that. And yeah, then coming, I'll just remove all this. Coming to arrays. So array is something like you if you know any other programming language, you'll be knowing what array is. So array is actually a collection of objects. So let me declare one var x is equal to, for array we use box bracket, and inside the box bracket we'll be giving like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so we are storing 5 different things, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 inside a single array. And we'll just console.log that x. Yeah, see. So when we console.log, we'll get the array printed. So this can be used if you have like a group of objects that has to be grouped together. As in your website, if you have something like a group of things that has to be grouped together, you need not use different variables. Like if you had to use individual variables, you have to declare one variable for this, one variable for this, one variable for this, this. So you actually need 5 variables for storing 5 things, right? So we are just grouping these all and then storing it into a single array. So this is called array. And we can also access individual elements of these array. So this is the array. This is the syntax of array having 5 elements. And we can access individual elements of this array. So how can we do that? So for that, we have something called indexes. So the first element is stored in 0th index. The second one is in first index, second index, third index, and fourth index. So if we give x of 0, we'll be giving the first element. X box bracket 0 gives the first element. X box bracket 4 gives the last element. So yeah, this is what is called array. I don't know if like anyone is new to programming. Like if you have any doubts regarding this, you can ask me. Is array clear? Like this is how we access things in array. Like we can access individual elements in an array, or we can access the array as a whole. Array is like used to store a group of things together. Like you can club things and store all these things together. So yeah, if you have any doubts regarding these things, some of you might be completely new to programming languages, so you might find it a little bit difficult. So if you have any doubts, like feel free to ask, okay? There is no problem. Yeah, so if you have any doubts, do message. So yeah, we have seen array. So array is one of the most useful things we have in JavaScript. It is very useful actually. And now the most common thing that what JavaScript actually is used for the most is something called objects. So what is an object? I'll declare an object first. Var name obj. These are all names that I give, okay? You can give anything. Variable names can be anything, but don't use special characters and all. But you can give any meaningful name to your variables. So yeah, var obj. So an object is declared inside this, what do you call this? Curly bracket. So an object is declared inside curly bracket, and then, yeah, you have for the object, imagine that you have a car. You have a car, okay? You have a car. So I'll declare variable car. So what all features does the car have? So the car has a color. The car has a number the year in which the car was bought, and yeah, the company of the car. Like these are the three things that you have for a car in general, right? So first is color. So what is the color of the car? Red color. And yeah, what is the year in which the car was bought? 2009. What is the company of the car? Company Swift. Yeah. So what is this actually? This is actually an object. This object is actually car. So what we're doing is, so for a particular object, we'll have different properties. Like for instance, the car has color, the car has year, the car has company, everything. So what we're doing is, what we are storing these all things together into a single variable. So inside a variable car, we have everything. We'll just console.log car. Yes, see. So when we console.log car, we'll get everything. Actually, it has the color, it has the year, it has the company, it has everything. So we are just grouping everything and storing. So, instance, if you are building a website for a student portal, the student will have admission number, name, class, division, roll number. So it's like a very big task for you to declare these much variables. So for a student, we'll just declare var student, and then student's name, admission number, everything will be stored inside a single variable only. Admission number, name, class. So it is independent of data types. Like you can store string, you can store integers, you can store anything. You can store float. If you have something float, like what do you have for car? Something float. What do you say? For car, something float can be height. Yeah, imagine you have something called height for a car. Just imagine, okay, and the height is 2.2 meter. Yeah, so you can store float, that you can store decimal value, you can store integer value, you can store character value, you can store string. So any kind of things can be stored and grouped under a single name. And this is kind of very useful. Once again, yeah. This is kind of very useful. Like when you have something, like a database or something, this is very useful. And how do we access individual elements? Like I don't want the entire car to be printed. Okay, I just want to know. I just want to know the color of the car. So what I do is, we have something called dot operator. Yeah. Here, one second. What I do is car dot color. Car dot color gives me red. Car dot year gives me 2009. Car dot company gives me Swift. Car dot height gives me the height. So this is how we access individual elements. Like we can use a dot operator to access individual elements of this object. So this is very useful thing. This is one of the most useful things of JavaScript. So if you have any doubt in objects, you can ask me. Any doubts? I hope no. Yeah. And yeah, you have conditional statements. You have, for conditions, see, you have var x is equal to 10, var y is equal to 20, and you have to check if x is equal to y. We know that it's not equal. Let's see if you have to check if x triple equal to y. You can give double equal to, but triple equal to is better. X triple equal to y, print, no, console.log. Console.log equal. So this is the if statement. So what if does is if checks if this thing is equal. If it is equal, it prints equal. Yeah. Since like x is equal to 10 now, x is equal to 20, y is equal to 20, it's not equal, so it's printing actually nothing. So we'll give an else statement also. Else console.log not equal. Yeah. So this is how you check things in JavaScript. As in, like if you have to check if two things are equal, or one thing is equal to another, or one thing is greater than something, we use the if statement. If in the bracket we give condition, and we'll print like what we have to do if it's actually true. And if it's false, like else, we'll have something else. So like we'll give same values in C. X is now equal to y, then it's printing equal. So this is conditional statement. Like we can give x greater than or x less than. So we'll give 60 for y. And we'll see if x is greater than y, print this thing. So yeah, greater than. Greater. Yeah. If x is greater than y, print this, print that. So we can use anything. We can give a condition here. Like we can give any kind of a condition here. So just imagine, just consider this as a conditional thing. So if you have to check anything, you can give. We can make use of this if-else thing. Like if like we have to check if the color of the particular thing, if the color of the header tag is black, make it to blue, or if the color is blue, make it to red or something. We can use that. Like this is what we have used. We use in websites, like for colors and all. We use this if condition. So yeah, thank you. So this is like the basics of JavaScript. Like we have seen basics of JavaScript, and like how do we use this JavaScript in our code? We have like a little bit of code, right? So what we've seen right now, we have seen JavaScript, we have seen variables in JavaScript, we have seen like arrays, we have seen objects, we have seen conditional statements. It's like an introduction only. You can go into the depth of JavaScript. Like it's a programming language, okay? So you have a lot to learn. And we've also seen about the different kind of operations like plus, minus, and all. Yeah. So so after this, you can like explore more in JavaScript. And now let's see how we can use this JavaScript into our code. Yeah, this is our website. And I'm now going to just introduce you how to use this JavaScript in our HTML code. So this is my index.html. This is something that we have built yesterday and day before yesterday. So how do we use HTML inside R? One thing I forgot. So in JavaScript, we have something called functions. Like, yeah, we have functions in every language. Function is like a group of code grouped into something. Like it's a group of code given a name, like function some name. So it's like wrapping up a code into a block. I'll just show you an example. Function Nandana. Console.log. I'll just delete everything else. Console.log Nandana. Console.log Sriraj. Yeah. So this is actually a function. So I've console.log Nandan and Sriraj, but the output is not visible to us, right? So for that, we have to call the function. The function gets invoked only when it's called. Yeah. So when I call the function, this is the function call. Okay. So we have to write this thing as the function call. The function name and a bracket, a pair of parentheses. Yeah. So this is what is called a function. A function is like wrapping up bits of code into a single, a capture or something. And then we'll have to invoke the function, then only the function comes. If we don't call the function, it's just the function that remains there. Like it won't be used. So we only use the function when it's called. So wherever you have to use a function, just call it. And the main use of it is that we don't need to write the code. If I have to type in the code n number of times. Like I have to print it 7 times. I don't need to write the console.log again and again and again. I just can keep on calling Nandana, Nandana. Yeah, so we have 4 Nandanas here. So that the Nandana Sriraj gets print 4 times. 1, 2, 3, 4. So this is like the main use of function. That is, we don't need to write the code more and more times. Like we are just calling the function name and the entire code comes. Like imagine if there were 100 lines inside this function and we have to write it 4 times. That means it's a very hectic task, right? So this makes it very easy for programmers to code things and all. So this is what is called function. Yeah. So using JavaScript in our code. So for using JavaScript in our code, we have a tag called script tag. Script closing script tag. Script. Yeah, so this is script tag. So what script tag does is that inside the script tag we can write JavaScript. So inside this is HTML document, right? So we write HTML tags here. We can't write JavaScript here and all. We can't declare a variable here and all. We can't declare anything, or we can't write in JavaScript in the middle of a HTML document. Like it's not allowed. So what we do is that we use a script tag to tell the HTML document that, okay, whatever comes inside the script tag is going to be JavaScript. So be prepared for that. So it's kind of telling the website that the thing is going to be JavaScript. So yeah, so I'll declare a variable var x. Like what do we have to do? We'll do something. We'll do something small. Okay, this yeah. So I earlier told that like we use JavaScript to change colors, visibility, everything and all. So we'll change the color of something only here. So we are going to change the color of this heading 2. This heading 2 is by default black. So when we click on this submit button or something, the heading 2 should change to pink color. And when you click it again, it should come back to the red, like the black color and all. So we'll do something like that. So we are going to have this heading. Like we are going to change the color of this heading 2. So where is the heading 2? Heading 2, heading 2, heading 2. Yeah. Here is the heading 2. So what I'm going to do is that I'm going to change the color of this heading 2 when I press the submit button. And when I press the submit button again, it comes back to the black color. So that I need to give an ID for this heading 2. ID is equal to heads. So ID is something like giving a unique thing to, like we have class names, right? But the class name is actually not unique. We can reuse the class names wherever we want. But ID is something actually very unique. It's similar to class only, but it's actually very unique. Like only one thing can have a particular ID. So if this H2 has this ID heads, no other thing in this HTML document can have this ID heads. So what happens is that if I tell the HTML document, where is ID heads? So fetch me ID heads. It'll take me to this heading 2. It'll give me this heading 2. So this HTML document understands that, okay, fine. ID heads means this H2 tag in the line number 7. That is heading 2. So like we are giving some unique name to that heading tag. Yeah. So we have ID heads for that heading tag. And inside the JavaScript, we need to get that. Like we need to have this ID heads. Like we need to change the color of this H2 only, right? So for that, we have something here. Document dot text element by ID. I'll tell you what I did. Yeah. So inside the script tag, I've declared a variable varx. We have seen that varx is used to declare a variable. We have seen that in JavaScript. It's like real normal JavaScript. And now what we have did is that we have document. In this document, get the element having ID heads. We're just commanding this this HTML document to fetch the item that has the ID as heads. So which item has ID heads? Our H2 tag. So what is stored in this X? So this X actually has the H2 tag. So when this line number 90 executes, the this thing like this H1 tag, H2 tag, right? Yeah, this H2 tag having ID heads is stored inside the X. So the X variable has the thing that the H2 tag right now. And yeah, we'll do like the color change. If x dot style dot color. So this is how we access the CSS properties, the h2 tags dot style dot color. Style, it can style dot anything. We have multiple things for that. If we have style dot color, color interpolation, like free CSS, say MP, display, flex. These are all CSS properties like height, width, background color, margin bottom, margin left. We have every CSS property here. We have a large number of CSS properties. So I'm using color. So I'm accessing color. So this is the CSS property. Like we are accessing the CSS property. So if the style of X, like X is the H2 tag, if the style, the color of the H2 tag is black, then we are going to change it to red. X dot style dot color equal to red. Else we are going to change it back to red. If it's not black, that means it's red, right? So we are going to change it back to red. X dot style dot color equal to black. Yeah, so everything is done. We are like we are just for the line numbers 90. We are accessing the x dot the h2 tag from the document with ID heads, and we are storing it into a variable named x. And then we are accessing the CSS property color of that x and checks it if it's black. If it's black, we are changing it to red, and if it's not black, we are changing it back to black. So this all things we have done. So like let's see if it works. It won't work, but yeah, I'll just nothing works, right? So so when should this be executed? As in, when should this be executed? We are not calling this as something, or it is not inside a function. It's just a script tag. By default, script tags won't be executed until and unless they are called or something. So for that, it's a block of code, right? It's not a single code. So a block of code should be wrapped into something. So for that, we have function. So yeah, function name clicky. So function clicky, and I'm just wrapping the entire thing into a function clicky. So now, yeah, so when we call function clicky, this gets executed. I'll just use Prettier, format document with Prettier. Yeah. So I've declared a function clicky and I've wrapped everything inside this. So now what happens? So when you call the function clicky, this gets executed. Pakka fine. So where should I call the function clicky? I have to bring the clicking function to this button, right? This button. So when I click this button, clicky should be called. So as soon as I click this button, clicky should be called. So where is the button submit? Button submit. Yeah, here is the button submit. So we have something in JavaScript called on click. On click means on clicking that, what should happen? Clicky should be called. So yeah, we have done that. So what did we do? We for the button submit, we have given an on-click functionality. So here, first when the button is clicked, clicky is called. So what is clicky? Yeah, clicky is this. So clicky fetches the h2 tag, and then for the h2 tag, it checks if this color is black. If it's black, it's just changed to red. If it's red, it's changed to black. So let's see if this works. Now it should work actually. It's not working, huh? I did something wrong then. Any spelling mistake or something? ID heads, get element by ID. If x dot style dot color equal to black. Oh yeah, we are not checking, right? We are just, let's see if this works out. Yeah, so now it works. So what did I do? Like I just used triple equal to here too. I didn't assign that. I just made a small mistake. I just used triple equal to here. Like it's assigned. It's not. I didn't assign actually. So yeah. So now it's working properly. So yeah, when I click the submit button, the color changes to red. When I click the submit button again, the color changes back to black. So what is happening when I actually click submit? So when I actually click submit, the clicky function gets called. When the clicky function gets called, this heading to having heads ID as heads is stored into the variable x, and it is checked if the color is red, it is changed to black, and if it's black, it's changed to red. So yeah, this is how we use JavaScript. Like we can use this is how we link JavaScript to our HTML document. Any doubt as of now? Anything? Okay. Yeah. So I'll show you one more thing. Like most of the things here, we have like something on clicking something, something disappears, and on clicking it again, it comes. Like what can I show, for instance? So when I click this N, this comes. When I click this N again, this goes. So something comes, something goes, something comes, something goes. We can also do that for the same thing. So on clicking the submit, this heading tag should go. On just clicking the submit again, the heading tag should come back. So yeah. So for that, we have a CSS property called display. Display with the and we have to we have display none means it's not displayed. Display block means it's being displayed. So we have two things, like display block means it's actually being displayed. Display none means it's not displayed. So we are just changing it back to block none. Display. I'm just accessing the display property, CSS property, and I'm checking if the display is block. Display block means that it's actually there. Then I'm setting the display to none. I'm just saying that I don't want to see that. And again, if the display is actually none right now, I'm setting it back to block. That means I want to see that. So I'm just like, it's the same thing, but I'm just changing the display. Like if the display is block, I'm changing it to none. If the display is none, I'm changing it block to block. It's like actually the same thing. So this is how we see. So when I click this function, it checks so clicky gets called. When clicky gets called, this thing having ID heads gets stored into the variable x, and in x it's checked as the CSS property block. That is the display. Display is actually block. Display block means it's actually being shown here. So I'll set it to none. I'll say that I don't want to see that. If it's actually none right now, then I'll want to see that. So I'll set it back to block. Like it's the same thing that we did for red and black, the inversion thing. So this is Java. So yeah. So this is like the basics of JavaScript. We have learned about HTML, we've learned about CSS, and we have learned about JavaScript. So like the last part that is left is we have to host this website. We have to host this website in GitHub. So I asked some of you don't know GitHub, right? So I've asked for the list of the people who doesn't know GitHub. Like I'll send some video for them. But right now I'm just showing how to host this on GitHub. So like the people who knows GitHub might understand that. For the others, I'll send some video for learning the things like what is GitHub and all. So this is actually GitHub. So what GitHub is actually is a place where you can store your code in the internet. I'm using this laptop, so if I go to some cousin's place or something, I don't have my laptop. If my code is there in the internet, it can be easy for me, right? I can use the code there from her laptop or his laptop. So it's like storing the code somewhere in the internet. So these are like we make folders in the internet and we store our code into repositories. So repository is like kind of a folder only. So I'm going to create a new repository. New repository. Repository is kind of a folder only, okay? Like we name it folder in our local system. We call it repository in GitHub. Repository name web we can create repository. Yeah. So I'm going to clone this. So yeah, so this is the link of your GitHub repo, the repo that I've created right now, weekend.git. So now we are going to clone this. Clone this means we are going to create a local copy, like a copy of GitHub into my PC. Like this is my PC, right? So I am going to create a copy of GitHub into my PC. So for that, actually create a folder first. A folder in local disk G, new folder www. Yeah. And we have something called git command prompt, and we use this git command prompt to like put things like get things from GitHub and push things into GitHub. cd www. Yeah. So we are inside this folder. And I just copied this URL from GitHub that I got. This is my repo. So to clone this into my local repository, what I do is git clone this. Cloning means creating a local copy. Git clone this thing. This URL, from where did I get this URL? I got this URL from here. So git clone this. Enter. So what will happen if you clone? You will get a copy of your online repo in your local system. So inside www, I have this web weekend. Yeah, this web weekend is actually your repo. Okay, your repo right there in your internet. And we just copy and paste the whole code. So web weekend copy www web weekend paste. And now we have pasted it in our local system, but it's not there in the internet, right? I've modified this web weekend folder in my local system, but in the internet, if I refresh, there is nothing in my web weekend folder, right? I have nothing here. It's an empty repository. So for that, we have to push it into our GitHub. So for that, I don't know, like people who don't know GitHub might find it a little bit difficult to follow this. Yeah. 3D web weekend. How many of you doesn't know GitHub? Like one girl told that day, but yeah. How many of you has no idea about GitHub? Yeah. So I had asked for a list of people who doesn't know GitHub. Like I'll send some video just introducing GitHub. Oh, these many people. Okay. I'll just give an introduction about what GitHub is. Like there are lots of people, I think. So yeah, this is actually GitHub. Okay, GitHub is something where you can actually store your code, as I said before. So you will have to create a GitHub account, and you will get something like this. And inside GitHub, you will be having repositories. So what actually repo means is, see, imagine you have in my laptop there are many projects that I'm doing right now. In some case, in my laptop gets broken, the entire code is gone, right? Entire work that I've done is gone, right? So like my laptop gets broken, it's like the files are gone. Then it's like a very painful thing for me to lose all my files. So what people do is people store files in the internet. Like in the internet, if you store things, you can access it. Like even if my laptop is gone, it's there in the internet. I don't need to worry. Like you upload your photos into the Google Cloud, right? Like the Google Photos. So that if you change your phone and all, you'll have the photos in your new phone also. So it's kind of the same thing. So for here we have something called repo. A repo is like what? A repo is kind of a folder only, a simple folder. A folder in the internet, that is it. Simply a folder in the internet. So for that, for adding things into this folder, the folder in the internet, you need to have a local copy of this web weekend folder in your local system. So for that, we need to for creating a local copy, we use that command, that is git clone this URL. Git clone this URL will be creating just a local copy of the folder, like the folder in the internet. This inside this www folder, this web weekend folder is a repository that you have in the internet. Like I've created a folder in the internet, right? A repository web weekend. So this is the folder that I've created in the internet. So you have a local copy kind of a thing. So inside the local copy, I can make changes. So I've added these index.html, style.css, the images and all. I can make changes here in the local copy. So what happens when you make changes in your local copy? Like only making changes in your local copy won't be reflected in the internet. Like remains the same. You don't see any change here, right? It's not added like the index.html, the style.css, the images are not getting added right now. So for that, what you have to do is you have to add the things into your GitHub, like add the files and push the files into the GitHub. So for that, we use like three commands, like these commands are kind of constant. Git add dot. Git add dot means you're adding all the files, adding all files that you have into the internet. And then the second is git commit -m and some message. I'll send these commands in the group, okay? I'll just send these commands also. Message like my website. You can give something, some relevant message here, something relevant. Don't give some random words and all. Just give something relevant, some relevant message. This must be seen in your GitHub. So it should be something valuable, like something that has some meaning. Yeah. So this means that 4 files are getting committed. So 4 files are changed. What were the files? A1 s1.png, my image, index.html, pt.jpg, my image, style.css. Now we've added it, we've committed it. So the last step is going to be push. So this is the most vital step. Now let me refresh this it in the web beacons. Any change? No, right? We are not seeing any change right now. So for seeing the change, the last step is really important. The last step is git push. So after doing that, we'll take a little time. Oh, see. 1 second. Login failed. Yeah. Okay. So what was the first step? I added it using git add dot, then committed it using git commit -m message, and then git push. Now let's see. Now let's refresh it. Yeah, you can see index.html. It's the same thing that we have done using code. Good. And then we have style.css. It's the same CSS file only. And then we have this images a1.png, the image and all. Yeah. So we have everything. So we have everything now in the internet. So even if my computer gets broke and all, I have everything in the internet. I am pakka safe. So this is the use of GitHub, like to store something safely. Okay, like you can store these things. Like this will be available for you lifelong. This won't go anywhere. Even if you change 10 laptops, will be available on the internet. Still, you can just clone the repo. So for cloning the repo again, imagine that my computer broke. So I need to create a local copy. So here you see this green button, right? Code. Here you'll get that link, the link that you saw before. Git clone this thing. We'll get the local copy in your local system. So you can use this from anywhere on any person's laptop, on any device, you can use this. This is one of the most important things of GitHub. So I think you got a brief introduction about GitHub. This is not the entire GitHub, but yeah, it's kind of a small introduction. If you have any doubt, you can ask me. Like this is not the entire GitHub. This is like the most essential things of GitHub. And I'll send the commands, okay? Like the git add dot, git commit -m message, git push. Like these 3 commands are the most vital commands. These are like, these commands are stagnant. This is not going to change anyway. These are the things that you're going to use repeatedly when you're using GitHub. So I hope, yeah, this is okay for you. And now let's host this website. Hosting means making it available for anyone. So till now the web weekend is like for me only. This is in local disk G web weekend folder index.html. This is only available in my system. So if I give this link to you, it won't work. It'll be like I'll give this link to you. It won't be working. This link, this is not even a link. This is not going to work for you. So what if I want to show this website to you? Like I want to give this website to you. So I want to host this website, right? I want to like you see URLs like www.that.com, www.this.com, that.com and all. So these are URLs. So I need to host my website likewise so that you all can see my website. So for that in GitHub you have the settings. Go to the settings, scroll down, and you have GitHub pages. You will see something called GitHub pages. From source none, select master and click save. And let's wait a few minutes. We'll wait a few minutes. It'll take like it'll take a few minutes to get published. We'll wait a few minutes. So till then, any doubt as of now, like if you have any doubt related to HTML, CSS, and JavaScript, like we are approaching conclusion. So any doubt relating to HTML, CSS, JavaScript, do us now. And when you have any doubt while doing, you can. My number is there. Like I'm there in the website group, so you can just ping me personally, or you can ask in the group. So like when you start doing, you may encounter things, you may encounter problems and all. So you can ask me in person, okay? There is no problem at all. Yeah, so if you have any doubt as of now, like regarding any of the 3 concepts that I've taught, you can ask me. Yeah, your site is published at. Yeah. So now this site is published. Now you can see that also. If I give you the link, just open this link and you will be able to see this site. Not a pretty site, but still comparatively adjustable site. Yeah. So this is how we host things on GitHub. Yeah, so now if you have any doubt, you can ask me like regarding any concept, anything. I hope you got. Can you just repeat again the hosting part? Yeah, sure. Where is my GitHub? So in your GitHub, the home page is this, right? You have your repo, your code, everything here. This is the home page. So for hosting, in the top row, we have code, issues, people, request, action, project, wiki, security inside. And in the end, we have settings. Just go to settings. Scroll down the settings until you reach GitHub pages. Here's something called GitHub pages. And when you reach GitHub pages, like by default, the source will be none. Just click on the none and you will get master there and click on save. That's it, done. Just change the source from none to master and click on the save. Then you have to wait for a couple of minutes, like 2 or 3 minutes maximum. And then you'll get your site is published at this so and so. So where is it? So inside settings, go to GitHub pages, change the source from none to master and click on save. Okay. Yeah, any other doubts? So if you get any doubts while doing, like you can contact me, okay? I'm there in the group. You can either ping in the group or you can message me personally, no problem.